I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Mae joins us. Hi, Mae.
Hello, Eric.
And appreciate you coming on. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hey there, my name is MiraiMae. I am a Rover VTuber, and I mostly stream art and some miscellaneous games.
So, when did you get started with the streaming?
Oh man, it's been a while. It's been about maybe 2 to 3 years now. Kind of on and off. I've been consistent for the last year and a half, I'd say.
Yeah. An artist all your life?
Yes, sir. I've been an artist all of my life. It's like the stereotypical story of, I've been drawing for as long as I remember.
Wow.
But I think I started more seriously around 2017.
So, were you one of those folks who doodled in their school book the whole time?
Absolutely. I got called out by so many teachers. They thought I was zoning out the entire time. I got stuff confiscated. And it was that standard story. But, they found out that I was still listening. I got my stuff back eventually.
Yeah. I just consider that your first published work.
I guess so.
You had it out there, and somebody took it from you. So that's as close to a transaction as you could get at that age.
Yeah, I didn't get anything from it, but
The
that as exposure, I guess.
Yeah. Well, was it tough for you to show your artwork to people early on, or was it something that you were able to overcome real quickly?
Personally, I think I was able to overcome it really quickly. It depends. I had some times where I was not confident in my ability, and then I would start to hide things. But overall, I'd say I was a pretty confident kid. If somebody wanted me to draw something or look through a sketchbook of mine, typically didn't mind.
That's good. A lot of people have that trouble getting from one to the other. They might have been artists, but I don't want to show anybody what I did type of deal. But you conquered that pretty easily, pretty early. So were you like taking commissions in high school?
No, not necessarily. I decided that even though I wanted to take commissions during high school, I wasn't at the level that I wanted to be at yet. So I spent most of my time practicing in silence.
You're completely self-taught?
Not entirely. I did take classes in school, and I am actually attending university for an art degree.
Wow. So I've talked to people had different experiences with school, with art is concerned, especially later on in their lives. They tend to think that it kind of strips them of what they're trying to do and tries to pigeonhole them into something else. Did that happen to you when you started the school up?
Yeah, and I absolutely see where they're coming from, especially with the very strict courses that we have. But I also believe that a lot of it is necessary. Consider it some of the fundamentals. If you learn any instrument, you have to learn the chords before you can make your own music, sort of deal.
Well, that's true. That's true. Especially if you're someone who has a tin ear, you really have to do it.
Exactly. I feel like it's a completely necessary thing, although I also see why it kind of drains the life out of some people.
Yeah. Well, I think folks think that it takes the individuality out of it, in some cases. But there are basics, I imagine, that you learn that can help you, and you can adapt that to what you do.
Absolutely. Style is a choice, and the fundamentals just fuel that, in my opinion.
That's cool. And so you're still doing it right now?
Yeah. I'm still in university for that.
Oh, wow. So have you, I'm gonna say the word that artists hate. Hands.
I actually like hands.
Oh, you do?
I do. They're weird, and they're fun to practice, although of course, because they're weird, they never look right when you draw them. Especially the gestures. There's certain gestures and certain, especially foreshortening. Oh, that's the worst. But also, I love a good challenge.
There's a reason why a lot of the old masters hid the hands in every painting.
Always.
Don't look there. Look over here.
Always behind the back. That's the classic trick.
That's right. That's right. So what do you like to draw? What type of art do you like to do?
Well, it kind of depends. I am accepting commissions, and there is a certain sort of anime style that I adhere to for that.
Mm-hmm.
Just for consistency's sake. It's not my favorite. I'm still exploring, but that's kind of my own thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Yeah.
you're still looking for still looking for your sweet spot, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm still looking.
yeah, but you are taking commissions right now.
I am actually. I have a VGen.
All right, we're gonna have that link in the description for the interview here, so folks
Mhm.
can find out immediately what you got going on and take commissions. What type of commissions are you asking for? Headshots, full body, that type of thing.
Yeah, headshots, full body, half body, those sorts of deals. Depending on my openings, I am also taking VTuber PNGs
Mm.
and model art.
Have you done some of those for anybody yet?
Not well, PNGs I have.
Mm-hmm.
There's a VTuber named Unwritten Stories,
Mm-hmm.
and I've made his PNG for him. I believe he's using a pixel VTuber model now, made by another artist. Um, but whenever he does pull out his PNG, that is my work.
Yeah. Is that something you want to do a little bit more in the future?
Yeah, I find it pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think I'd prefer to find a style that I'm happier with,
Mm-hmm.
but so far I'm enjoying it.
Have you done your own model?
Yeah, I'm currently using a pre-made model,
Mm.
but I am working on a model for myself, and I've worked on a couple of models in the past.
So sooner or later, it's going to be all you.
Absolutely, I
Yeah,
do my own art and rigging.
that's cool. That is excellent. So you're basically not just a self-made artist, but a self-made VTuber.
Yeah, pretty much. And the only time I really use other VTubers things is if I'm working on something in the background and it
Mm.
just doesn't time out well.
So when you did get started on VTubing, what brought you into it?
Oh man, that's a great question. Actually, I remember I think it was Hololive
Mm.
that I saw. I actually became a PNG tuber before they were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, about 3 years ago, I didn't really want to show my face, and me being an artist, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll use an overlay and put a silly little character on it. So that's what I did.
Little did you know
Um,
the future.
little did I know. Yeah. And then one day, I think I was on YouTube and I discovered that Hololive was a thing and that I could be a moving, living, breathing anime girl.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I think that was my awakening to the VTubing world.
Mm. So you were already there, and it came to you.
Pretty much.
you you're just breaking all sorts of trails for everybody here.
I don't know about that. I was pretty small. I had just started VTubing, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had no idea that I could. I think the first thing I thought was, "Oh my God, I can move." That's a possibility.
Well, yeah. What about chat? Have you gotten along well with Chad? Was it easy for you to interact with him?
I grew up. It was a little weird because I ended up growing up quite introverted,
Mm-hmm.
and never really conversing with anyone off the bat. I had to know someone before I could converse with them.
Right.
So I did have difficulties at first, and streaming, especially starting off on your own, is a lot more difficult than people try to make it seem.
Right.
Um, so I ended up. Here's a little trick, actually. I ended up taking a stuffed animal of mine, a small one,
Mm-hmm.
and if there were no viewers in my chat, I would place that in front of my monitor or my laptop at the time. I did not have a setup. Um, and I would talk to that instead.
Well, that's actually pretty brilliant. I have to say
Yeah.
that because if it does force you to talk to somebody else instead of yourself while you're
Mhm.
doing it. It gives you an automatic audience. That's actually, folks, write that down.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. If you have trouble talking to yourself and thinking that, oh, why should I talk if no one's here? Just give yourself an audience.
That's pretty. That's actually really brilliant, folks. There's a tip for you, And maybe even if you have a little trouble bringing yourself to know that there are more than just a couple people listening to you, just have that one thing that you're focused on. Talk to them, because you're not talking really when you're on. Back when I was in radio and back when while you're doing VTubing, you're talking to one person at a time rather than 2,600 people in a building.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're talking to the one person, then you're interacting with every individual person instead of throwing them all in a group. I think that's the thing. You've come up with a heck of a, you got to patent that. Draw it up and patent it real quick for yourself so you can make some money off of
Patent
it.
the idea of
Yeah.
using a plushie as your audience, yeah.
You're the Thomas Edison of VTubing.
I wouldn't go as far as that.
Well, when you are doing your art streams, how does that go with the chat? Do you get any backseat artists?
No, I do not. Thankfully, I've grown such a supportive community, and I would say that my art streams are more like a just chatting.
Mhm.
My art obviously is there for entertainment, but it's not always the main focus. You know,
Mhm.
we bounce through a lot of topics, and it's a great time that we utilize for getting to know each other.
Excellent, and it is a icebreaker type of thing, and and
Hmm.
and then while that's going on, you're talking with other people, and do you get any ideas from the audience every once in a while?
Absolutely. They are my second brain. If I'm ever art blocked or, I need a break from an illustration I'm doing and I just go, "Hey, give me something to doodle," and they will always provide.
Yeah, that's excellent. That sounds like you've got a really good um, relationship with that chat.
Hmm.
We're
I
not,
really love them.
and sounds like they like you too, pretty much.
I would hope
They
so.
haven't done anything to you yet. Don't
Not no. We've
that,
been pretty good.
yeah. Now, what about the games that you're playing? What do you usually do those online?
It's a little weird because I tend to bounce around with a lot of games. I think the most consistent so far have been Minecraft,
Hmm.
Need for Speed, and I believe there's one more that's slipping my mind right now.
Hmm.
But I'd say Minecraft and Need for Speed are the big ones.
So, do you use Minecraft as another way to do your art?
Yeah, essentially. I used to be one of those kids that played creative mode all the time. I was so scared of survival because I didn't want to die in
That's
game.
right.
And I liked experimenting with builds. I watched so many YouTube videos, so I can just conjure something up the top of my head now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And so, mhm.
yeah, that's great. My grandson does that. He plays
Yeah.
Minecraft. Yeah, he does. He stays in creative mode and he's building all these things. He
Mm.
let Papa Eric play one time, and the only thing I could do was beat his animals to death because I have no idea what I'm doing.
That's part of the Minecraft experience.
I can't play with him anymore. I don't.
Oh
I don't
man.
know any of the controls other than continually punch sheep. I guess that's all I can do. But
Yeah, that's normally what I do.
yeah, but
Not the punching sheep, but
yeah. Well,
the building.
well, it does allow you to be extremely creative with and you think look at it, these are just blocks, but an artist who has the imagination and the ability can do a lot with blocks.
Absolutely.
When and I would be spending all my time just trying to get two of them to stack on each other because art and I don't mix in the slightest bit. My stick figures look like they need wheelchairs. That's how bad my art is for the most part. Um, so these games that you play, the Need for Speed one, is that something that you were playing early on and you just kept doing it through stream?
Not really. Actually, the first one that I played was Need for Speed Unbound, and that released only last year.
Mm.
So I started off with that when it released.
So
And weirdly enough, that's what built, I'd say, a good chunk of my community.
so you got into what draws you into that particular game?
I've always been a bit of a card nerd.
Hmm.
Not entirely, I don't know how they function per se, but I've always been into the aesthetic of cars, especially 90s cars. And I think that derives from my very first car that I had. It was a 97 Volvo, so it was a brick to say the least. And so I think after taking care of that and getting into the car scene, especially with some friends that I have, they're mechanics,
Hmm.
they know the ins and outs of them. I was like, you know what? Let me pick up a car game and continue my love for that elsewhere.
Have you ever thought you'd like to design one?
Oh yeah, I've been thinking of that as a job prospect in the future
Hmm.
potentially.
Yeah, that would be the thing that you have to have all of the math and physics involved, obviously, because you want to literally have a brick driving down the road.
Yeah, that's right. That's
That's be
right.
some air has to move around the car, or you end up with a Jeep.
Hmm.
I hate Jeeps. I drove a Jeep for the radio station I worked for last time, and it was like driving a wet paper sack.
Oh man.
It just not particularly good. But yeah, my first car was an old '74 Chevy.
Oh man.
It was a tank.
Yeah, that's what I say about my 97 Volvo. That thing could take anything.
Oh man, when the heat finally kicked in, it was the middle of the Sahara, and when the air conditioning finally kicked in, you were seeing your breath in the summer.
Oh
Unfortunately,
man, that
it
sounds like a dream.
yeah, it only took about 3 hours for it to kick in and created giant holes in the ozone when he did it. But other than that, it was perfectly fine. Have you got
Yeah,
anything?
that sounds about right.
Yeah, have you got anything big coming up on your channel here soon?
I recently hit 500 followers, so
Yes.
I will be hosting a either 12-hour or 24-hour subathon for that.
I'm glad that you gave yourself the leeway.
Yeah, I never really know what's coming up.
And I mean, get to hour 11, like, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a 12 hour.
We'll see. Knowing my community, it might end up as a 24-hour. It's
So,
hard to say. I life gets in the way a lot.
uh,
I'm a full-time uni student and I work part-time, so you can only imagine how
oh
much
yeah,
time I have left to stream.
oh yeah, stupid life gets in the way all the time. It
Always.
all over the place. But what are you going to do on the stream? What type of games? And is it going to be art and games?
Definitely art and games. I want a good mix of things. I haven't thought of that much yet. I just know that that's going to be something that happens soon. I think I hit 500 only a week or so ago.
Hmm.
So I'm still planning things out.
When you did hit it, and you realized you were there, and that's a pretty big milestone. How did that
Mhm.
affect you?
I was in shock. I was in disbelief. I've been streaming for a few years now, and although it was pretty inconsistent in the beginning, I never thought that I would get this far. And even with, you know, half of 1,000, I get so many people that come back regularly,
Mhm.
and I feel like I have such a wonderful community.
It's great to have that behind you, and know that there's going to be people that are going to be there no matter what you're doing.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they all come back for the personality, and for someone like yourself, you were kind of an introvert early on. How does that make you feel? You come on and there's 100 people sitting there waiting for you.
All I can say for sure is that I've definitely changed. I'm a lot less reserved. I am very quick to my thoughts now. It's I think before when I used to stream in the very beginning, I put a heavy filter on all of my thoughts. All of my thoughts were internal,
Mhm.
but streaming and having a community and building one myself has made me realize I can say anything.
Yeah,
I can say anything and they'll take it.
yeah. I mean, you still have to take responsibility for what you say, but
Oh, oh, absolutely,
yeah.
but at least it'll turn into a conversation.
So how about how's it affected you outside the stream?
I think I've become a lot more outgoing
Mm.
outside of stream due to this. It's easier for me to talk to people and make conversation quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's my job as a streamer is to find hook people in and keep them there.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
It's
Obviously that's their choice, but
You can help them
it's a
along,
lot
though.
easier. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
It's not without some assistance, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. It's
Um,
always the personality of the person that brings them back, and
that's true.
that has got to be really rewarding and fulfilling when you realize that.
It really is, especially since I remember when I started streaming, I was very afraid that, oh, what if they're only coming back for my art and if I pick up a game, no one's going to show up, and that fear just it no longer exists because I know that there's going to be people waiting for me regardless, and it's
Tremendous.
so heartwarming.
Absolutely. That's absolutely excellent. Now, long term, you're going to be doing something with your art, obviously. Hopefully
Mhm.
that is a career. Is there something long term you'd like to do with your channel?
Long term, I'm not entirely sure. I'm mostly here for the fun and the experience. I never really thought I would get this far in streaming. Um, I think long term, I just want to build a bigger community. I want to help other streamers build their communities as well, and become this part of this. I'm already part of this interconnected web,
Mhm.
but I do want to help others, and I think the biggest goal right now is just to have fun and make sure that everybody else has fun with me.
Great attitude to have, and sounds like you got things going pretty good.
I sure hope so.
Yeah, it does absolutely. Now let's go over again for folks about your commissions that you have right now, and we're going to have the link again in the description for the interview. But what types of commissions are you taking right now?
Currently, I'm taking PNG commissions and selectively taking model commissions. I have a few going on right now, so that's not quite open. And anything within the headshot, half body, or full body illustrations is open as well.
What about just the nose?
I mean, if you'd want just the nose, I can give just a nose.
What's your quote on a nose?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I guess it just depends on the style. If you're talking an anime nose, I wouldn't mind $5.
And the size of the nose too, I imagine it counts too.
That's
extra,
true. The
ex,
size might matter for that one.
extra equipment. It's an absolute pleasure to talk with you, and I hope everything goes extremely well for you, and you get this some of these big things happening for you. And it sounds like you've got your head on straight, and you're going in the right direction.
I really appreciate you having me here, Eric.
And I really appreciate you coming on. And again, you get some of these big events coming up, some more of these milestones, maybe the 1,000 or your 5,000 mark. Give us a call, and we'll do some updates.
Maybe one of these days. I would really appreciate you doing this for the VTuber community, and I'm sure everybody has told you the same.
Well, I appreciate them too. We'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.